I feel like we'll go for a walk, but that famous saying, how to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. But what happens is always, if we surrender, then it's always better. It's always His grace. So to trust that is very important. So on Guru Purnima, I can understand some reverence can be shown to the teacher's body. It is natural for us to feel that it is a good opportunity to celebrate together. But really, it is also a day to celebrate the magic, the mystery of this existence that we call human life. This body is made up of food, and it will go back to the earth in one way or the other. All the elements will go back to the elements. So that's also magical, but there's something even more magical, even more mysterious about us. What is that? That there is some holy presence, a holy being, an Atma in all of us. And the body, in a way, it becomes a frame in this 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional world of Maya. It's just like a frame. But what's worth celebrating is that magic, that mystery. And this Atma, this spirit, this being is a gift from God, the one true being. And everything that is good in our life is a gift of that magical, supernatural being called the Atma. They say sometimes the best things in life are free. But actually it should be said that they are priceless. Because no amount of money can buy true love, unconditional love. No amount of money can buy peace. No amount of money can buy a moment of joy. Where do they come from? From this being itself. From the Atma itself. And today we are celebrating the aspect of the Atma which is the guidance aspect of it. Because all true guidance, all true teaching, along with the love, peace and joy, comes from the Atma itself. That's why the true Sadguru is within ourselves. And in the 12-13 years that we've had Satsang, I've possibly shared this every year. I can't imagine a year when I didn't share this about the true Sadguru. So can we say that the presence of this Atma, the light of this Atma Jyoti, can be confirmed by us without any imagination, without any make-believe, with full integrity and honesty with ourselves. And if it has been confirmed, then are we living in the light of that presence, present to that presence, alive to that presence? That is the purpose of the human play. To find and then to live in. Because to find and then to not live in is probably worse than to not find at all. So can we remember for today that the outer celebration of Guru Purnima is nice, and we got this opportunity to be together by God's grace, although my plan was to go for a walk. So to remember that what we are doing here, why the waking state has been given to us, is to find the source of that waking state. To stay with that, be present to that. Because in that it is, and only in that, is it that this play of Maya is no longer a trap of Maya. In fact, we should not call it a play. We should not call it a Leela. Because when we are stuck in it, it is a Jal, it is a Maya Jal, a trap of Maya. It is only when you get a distance from it, which is by being in the light of the Sadguru presence. Can we call it a play? Can we call it Chidvilasa? Or we can call it a Leela. Only in these conditions. So remember that Atma Gyan or Atma Darshan is not a one-time event. It doesn't matter what your experience was yesterday. It is whether you are living in the light of the Atma within right now or not. That is the only thing that is important. So if the Atma is the light of this universe, then why does it seem so difficult to attain? Because what it projects is very tempting. The Plato's cave is a good example that the shadows that were seen on the bottom of the cave or the side of the cave, the shapes became so compelling to the ones who were seeing them that even when they were promised true light, they attacked the one who promised them that, because that would take them away from the play of the shadows in the cave. So this outer world is like that. Now, if we keep these senses aside, then can we still see or no? When you close your eyes, you're not using your eyes anymore. You can still see or no? You can see imagination. You can perceive thoughts in one way or the other. So if you keep imagination aside, memory aside, all this play of thoughts also aside, may be worthwhile to spend a minute on why it can seem so difficult to keep these aside. Because it has become a habit to grasp on to imagery, to grasp on to what I want. It has become conditioned. These have become conditions, vasanas, that even for a few minutes we can't keep them aside. As you close your eyes, you try to keep the world, the Maya world aside. And what happens? The mind troubles us. It says, what about this, but what about that? So our wanting gets in the way, our habits get in the way, and many forces which get in the way. Therefore it needs practice. In the presence of the Satsang, Sangha, it may seem to be easier. You may seem to close your eyes and, I can keep everything aside. But that is the gift from the Sadguru. But to do it by ourselves needs practice. In most 99.99% of humans, we need to practice. Away from the magnetic pull of the world and its lawyer called the mind, to remain empty of that, we need practice. And that practice can be in the form of whatever spiritual instruction the teacher has given to you. Whether it is to pray, whether it is to chant, whether it is to inquire. So then what happens is that the force of Maya, the force of these conditions seems to get cleaned up, seems to get easier to handle. But it is observed at any point of time in humanity that so many may be doing a spiritual practice, but very few actually do it to the extent which is needed. Needed means that you must come to the light of spirit and stay there. That is the point. So, do all of us do our practice to the extent of bringing us to the Atma and helping us stay with the Atma within. And can we say that most of our day is spent in God's light? So sadhana is very important. Because it is found in the human play that it is this cooking, this tapasya, this sadhana, this practice that leads us to the eating that we want. And the eating is what? To come to the sweet presence of God. But as long as we have some hope from worldly things, we will find it very difficult to be with God. If we put all our hope in God, then all the worldly things will go in the most graceful and auspicious way. So if you are now practicing and you are coming to the holy light of Atma Jyoti, then it is there that you become a disciple of the true Guru, the Satguru who we are celebrating today. Because his teaching place, his temple, is lit by a light which is unperceivable. But it is recognized intuitively. So some sages call it the uncreated light, the divine light. It was before creation. So before God said, "Let there be light," this light was there. As the Atma, as the Spirit. Have you found such a light? And it's not a badge of honor, because if you found it, then you need to possibly be scolded a bit more for not staying in it as much. And if you haven't found it, then you need to put your entire, whatever you think is at your disposal must be offered up to this project. Without fear. Because immediately you start complaining, saying, "But what about this? What about?" So what is this new term I learned called "what about tree" starts. What about tree? So what about this? What about that? It's called what aboutery. So don't get into this whataboutery. Stay away from it. Because we could end up spending our whole life in this, but what about this? And miss what life was really about. All the tools are with you, the method is with you. You just have to use it. This is the Guru that I want you to meet today. There's nothing so great about this body or anything like that. I do, like I said, I understand the reverence and I'm greatly appreciative of that, but truly, if you want to revere the teacher, then we must value and revere that to which he is pointing. What clouds the light? What makes your Antakarna dark and blocked? Is your nourishing all conditions to do with the ego? The more me you do, the darker it will get, the more distant the holiness will seem. The more God you do, with integrity, with faith, with love, with devotion, and most importantly with humility, the easier it will be. Humility is extremely important. Suppose, say someone comes to you and demands a gift. No, I want a gift. I'm entitled. It will be very inclined to give them a gift. Not in pride. If a mosquito comes in front of you and says, I want you to adopt me as your child, I demand it, you're more likely to swat it away than to accept it. And we are nothing, not even mosquitoes in front of God. But because He is merciful, if we lead with humility, if we pray with humility, then in His mercy, in His kripa, we may get the gift that we want. We may. And one day we must seriously just contemplate what makes us so great that we think we are. The main purpose of our life is not fulfilled. The rest of it is all garbage. Then what do we have to be so proud about? Because till this pride doesn't break, we are very darkened from the inside. Reading some orthodox sages, they say when you are truly humble, every time you remember God, it will bring you to tears. So that trait must be our humility, that we recognize our nothingness, our nobodiness, and yet we have the privilege to call out to the one who is the Lord of a trillion universes. What mercy is that? So to remember His love, His kindness, His mercy must bring us to our knees in sheer humility. Because without humility, what will happen is that your pride won't like it that others are talking about realizing the Atma within, and your pride will make it very difficult for you not to live in a make-believe if you're in a spiritual Sangha. So your pride will force you to feel like, no, you know it, you have it, you are living in it. But even in your outer movements, if they are not full of love, kindness, compassion, service, patience, know that there is a lot of work to be done. Otherwise we'll play make-believe and this life will be over. It's always safer to feel that the work is not done than to get into some trap saying that my work is done here. Like I cannot at all say that my work is done. I can see what a long way to go there is. So on this Guru Purnima, let's make a promise to ourselves that we will come to, or we will offer ourselves up completely, especially our pride, and attempt to live in God's presence, God's light. When we live in God's light, we'll spread God's light. When we live in the ego, we'll spread ego. Ego is very contagious. Like a funny example is like none of us can make the claim that we know who we are. But you tell anyone तो जानता नहीं मैं कौन हूँ. And what is immediately? और तू कौन है? मैं, तू जानता नहीं मैं कौन हूँ. एक्चुअली दोनों नहीं जानते वो कौन है. So this is how pride can spread. Ego can spread in these small things. Okay, so let's take a practical promise as well. Let us promise that 99% of the unkind words that come out of our mouths will not come out in the next 1 year. 99% too much? Because this is where the rubber hits the road. We can all say, yes, we will focus on the light of the Satguru, and then what is the indication of that? We can fool ourselves. The rubber hits the road in our kindness with everyone around us. So you could be very kind already, I'm not saying. And yet in all of us there must be some unkind expression coming out. In some relationships, in some work situation, in something. So you said the number. I have said 99%.
I notice, Father, I can control the words from time to time, and 2-3 weeks I'll sulk. So that's the anger, another expression of anger.
Yes. Because like you sulk alone in a room, or you make it known to others that you're sulking?
But I know I'm sulking. Then they know I'm sulking.
That's what. So
they get to know.
So they must not get to know. That's the project. We'll talk about the sulking also in a bit. But that's the project, that even if you're feeling unkindly towards someone, we're not going to be unkind. We're not going to let them know through silent treatment or whatever. Yes? What is the percentage?
Did you say 99?
So if you're at whatever your 100 is right now, you reduce that to 1. So it becomes negligible. How you decide what is the number? So let's negotiate a bit. 70. Let's say 90. 9 and 10 we can stop ourselves. Let's start with 90, and then when we meet next year this time, it should have grown to 99.
Father, can I?
Yeah.
That I've noticed that nowadays, like say for example, there's some kind of a conversation, I'm able to step back, okay. But if somebody says something hurtful, like in a raised voice, or is like that kind of just, I get so
what gets attacked?
Scared, and I get a little, then I defend.
When somebody is being strong with you, what gets attacked?
My pride also gets attacked.
It's pride.
Yeah. Like how can you...
If we were a humble servant of that one who was screaming at us, we'd say, okay, I am a beggar servant anyway.
What do I do in that moment when it's just like...
That's what you have to stop. That's when the rubber hits the road. So after taking this promise, when it happens next, you'll be making less rationalizations about it. You see, because some of you are already defending yourselves in situations which haven't yet come. Because this project has been given, you already like, Acha, but this one says that. So already you have the rationalizations ready. I am saying that There are no excuses, there is no Shiva energy playing out, there is none of that. We just have to cut it out. And if 100 is difficult, let's start with 90. And I'm with you in this. You know, I've been in this project for some time, and I feel like my expression has changed quite a bit since I took it on.
See, Father, if somebody is shouting, saying something, then my immediate position is to go, like, to bow.
Yeah, but whatever you
Yeah, because
bow is okay.
Because I feel like these are times when I'm not like, if I'm not in the heart, like if I'm, then otherwise there's not, this question doesn't come. But
Exactly, that is the answer. So if every minute you're giving yourself the gift of God, then you will not be so happy to take every gift that the world is giving you. You know what I mean? If the world is giving you anger, don't take it. Because you are, only when we are shaky in God, then the temptation to depend on others is too much. And then you feel like, oh, but they're supposed to help me instead, now they're shouting it. So all this is an external dependence on Maya. Whereas we need to truly be dependent on God within. So when you're stable in God, then that gives you the strength to not take every gift that the world wants to give, either temptation or provocation. In fact, that is the only way to do it. Difficult? Can we have an annual Guru Dakshina? Or it has to be a one-time?
No, I'm promising. And I'm
Right?
actually, I really do this. Really.
So you must be feeling मैं क्यों ही आया आज? नहीं आता तो अच्छा
I didn't know I had this problem of being so angry, but now I see it and it makes me feel awful. And also it makes me feel as if I'm letting you down because you said you don't have a right to be angry with the sages because they can even resurrect a life if they and you can't. And you're so righteous. Sorry.
No, it's good, beautiful. The sages can resurrect a life.
Yeah.
We can't even resurrect feelings.
Yeah.
We get angry at someone, they hold resentment in their heart, they get closed in their heart, and that blocks them from God's light. That resentment towards you because of your outbursts at them, not you, I'm saying for everyone. You see, so it just spreads, and then that resentment comes out at somebody else. This is how ego spreads. So let's cut it out at us. If we are supposed to be God's children, then all these things must come to us to die. Another's anger has come to me to die, not to be spread. We are supposed to be the killers of the virus, not the spreaders. Have you seen how the environment changed when it came to an actual application of the rubber hitting the road? As long as it remains conceptual and like nice and spiritual, it is fine. But when it comes to like a change in something very deep within ourselves, that can seem to be a struggle.
The Jesus calling book itself is to us to pray to the Holy Spirit to control your thoughts. If you're unable and you do this, then it should be done.
Patience is very important. How long do we wait before we speak?
Yeah.
So Chanda's question was, but what happens if I end up stewing in it? Somebody was rude. I have said, I have given a promise to my teacher, I won't react. But in that non-reacting, I am just stewing in it. So, if you live in God's light, you will not be able to stew in it for long. That if you are able to stew in it for weeks, shows you a distance from God's presence. Because God's love holds no grievances. A Course in Miracles says love holds no grievances. But that is a very deep kind of love, which is from God. So if you forgive your brother, if you forgive your sister, from a position of being a bigger sinner than them, not as somebody great, I forgive you. Then you will not be able to hold on to resentment, grievances inside. You won't stew. You won't stew in it for too long. Remember to leave all justice to God. Who are you to do justice to anyone? What did Ananta-Part say? वो तो सिर्फ दया करना चाहते हैं, क्या नहीं जानते? न्याय। वो तो सिर्फ दया करना जानते हैं, न्याय करना नहीं। क्योंकि अगर हमारे साथ एक दिन न्याय हो जाए तो हम तो गए। तो हम अगर अपने साथ दया चाहते हैं, न्याय नहीं चाहते, तो हम कौन है किसी के साथ न्याय करने वाले? And most of our anger, most of our expression of unkindness comes from this trying to do justice to another. How can they get away with this? I will fix them. I will show them. And when it comes to facing God, you say, please be kind to me, don't show me the fruits of all the stupidities that I've done. And I continue to do. So if we want mercy from God, then our expression must also be mercy. So it's all interlinked. If you must attack the sin and not the sinner. It takes a lot of spiritual maturity to do that. To truly, because people can smell it when you're being like holier than thou. Oh, I'm just attacking your sin. It doesn't happen like that. It must come from a place where you're really holding the brother's hand and operating from there. Sister's hand and operating from there. So both inward and outward change is needed for us to live in God's life. And I was saying the other day that we must think of this life as a visa interview to heaven. स्वर्ग लोग जाना है ना, भगवान के पास रहना है, वैकुंठ में, गोलोक में, जहाँ भी रहना. तो if everybody could live there, then everybody would. No? But the fact is that not everybody gets to live there. So there must be criteria. So we have to fulfill the visa criteria. And whether you consider Swarg to be just to live in His holy light or a special place where you get to live, that doesn't matter. Either way, closeness to God is only possible when we make full attempt to change ourselves. Let's take examples. Let's say we were going to go for a walk. So suppose you lived at a distance and you didn't come. But the walk became a satsang because it rained. So it's very easy to, in this situation, especially if you've been wanting to be in satsang for a while, very easy in this situation to become angry, resentful, tantrumy. Mujhe kyun nahi? Like this kind of stuff. We need the slightest excuse. We don't feel like, okay, my brothers and sisters got an opportunity on Guru Purnima to go deeper in that, and that is ultimately helpful for all of us as a Sangha. No, you don't think. No, but what about me? If there's a what about that is more dangerous, it is what about me. Because we lose the true broader vision because of that. Can we come to a place of maturity by next year where we look at a situation like this and we say, wonderful, what a blessing. It's not too much to ask for because 1 year is a long time and we have very little time left. These are very small steps. Now we still have to face all the inner challenges, all the attacks inwardly, all that has to still happen. We are still fighting with the world. The project is very big still. Thank you all for joining together in this beautiful celebration of the Sadguru. May God's grace bless you with the highest. May all His gifts be yours. May all your suffering become light. May all of you lead the lives of saints. Bless you all so much. Remember that we have to lead a saintly life, or try to lead a saintly life before we can become saints. And all of you can become saints. A saint is just one who lives close to God. All of you can live close to God. But don't wait for an event to happen before you start leading a saintly life. Sainthood is just taking, not that I would know, but I'm presuming that it is just taking a different direction when Maya pulls you otherwise. Millions of times, every day, 1,000 times. That application constant, small. That's it. Like Saint Therese of Lisieux, she said, don't need to do big things. Those times where people were becoming martyrs for God, all of these things, those times have changed. Now it's in the small things. Every day, small things get us to sainthood. That is the environment. That is how Maya is playing right now. So your life is more than enough to get you there. And you have a big project now I've given you. Just in the application of that you will see. So Satsang is nothing but a collective project towards sainthood. Otherwise there is no point of Satsang. So if you don't take these small steps, which can seem like very big changes right now, then life will go past too fast. Okay, thank you. May all of you be blessed with the light of the Atma within. So many saints are up on the wall as reminders, and not most of your houses also. I've seen have such beautiful reminders on your walls. So from Neem Karoli Baba, what can we learn? Nirantar japa, Ram, 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 Ram. Just the sheer openness. Everything belonged to everybody. But constant faith, surrender to Ram, that's why most of us consider him to be Hanuman. Guruji, Muji Baba, what can we learn? Relentless self-inquiry, inquire into the nature of who you are, don't get caught up in misidentification, be empty. Maharishi to give us one of the most beautiful sadhana, to ask yourself, who am I, is one of the best ways to empty yourself for God. So all the paths are available to us. Arunachala and the sheer presence is supposed to be the embodiment of Shiva himself. And all of us have experienced how we feel so elevated and so empty, available for God. It's like a different realm itself. Maharaj, to stay with the sense I am, come what may. What is sadhana? He said, my master told me, be with the I am. And don't have to do anything else. He said, it's simple. 3 years I was only with the I am. When I was shaving, I was with the I am. When I was selling in my shop, I was with the I am. In 3 years. That is practice. Whether it is japa, whether it is invitation, whether it is inquiry, whether it is a spiritual pilgrimage, whether it is to stay with the sense of I am, it is practice. Sadhana is needed. Krishna, what to say? Everything is there. Without him, I feel most of Indian spirituality would be lost. Because the Upanishads would be too difficult to decipher and understand. But because of his teachings, he distilled the essence of the Upanishads and brought. And there's so many, there are millions of aspects of Lord Krishna that we can discuss, of course. Then, Radhaji is there. Embodiment of pure love, unconditional love. Just love without wanting anything in return. To this day, to love so deeply, what to say? Hanuman Podarji. Humility. I feel like I hadn't met true humility till I heard Hanuman Podarji. To be such a great sage and to say, मैं तो इतना तुच्छ हूँ. To immerse yourself in God so deeply, and yet to be fully aware of your conditions in the human play, and to keep them in focus rather than your positives. So much humility, so much hard work in sharing God's light, so much love for God. To be such an important personality during his time, and yet to love the Lord like a gopi. There's so much to learn. We can't just, like every branch of spirituality, he's adept. He has so much depth of insight. It's something I've not found except in his brothers. His brothers being Swami Ram Sukdas ji, Goenka ji, Radha Baba. So in that sampradaya, so much. The way they talk about, mostly if you're a bhakta, you're not able to articulate Gyan Yoga so well and things like that. But how they able to just read the essence of Gyan Yoga, of even emptiness. I've heard them speak about open and empty. Like he said very simply that वो विषयहीन होना चाह रहे हैं, पर वो विषयहीन का विषय नहीं छोड़ पा रहे हैं, है ना? Such a simple way to say it. Like we're trying to be empty, but you can't leave the notion of empty itself has got stuck. So that's why he says it's a very difficult path. But is the depth of understanding of all the parts of spirituality. It's really beautiful. Really deep. What do we have?
Bible servant.
Huh?
The Bible servant.
Oh, the prayer of the Bible servant. Okay, apology.
Swami means
Hanuman.
Nanak ji.
Hanuman ji.
So, Hukum Rajai Chalna.
Okay. Some game changing.
Doership is if we can't leave doership, we can't leave our ego. We can't, at least the attempt to surrender has to be full. And the way to leave doership is to live in obedience. So live in obedience to God's will, in servitude to God's will. If you determine today that you will not take a single step unless it is God's will that you hear from inside, then all the spirituality which is being asked of you will unfold naturally. Okay, quickly. Papaji. No. Because Maya seems to play in time. So his speciality was pull people out of time. Shake them into seeing what the nature of reality is right now. He is not much of a believer in practices and all, although in his life he did a lot of sadhana. But such a beautiful, direct way. Mahima to impossible to speak about because, like Poddharji, every aspect of spirituality she can just keep saying, "मैं तो छोटी बच्ची हूँ, मैं तो छोटी बच्ची हूँ." Things which are impossible to fathom. But what I personally picked up from her was this tip about you have no excuse to get angry. Very, very helpful. But Mahagyani, of course. Lord Jesus Christ. I look at him as the most unique way in which he destroyed evil. All the other times in which the Lord came, he destroyed evil literally by chopping the heads off the evil because it was spread so much. So in this incarnation he said, I will teach them another way. I will take up, like a parent says, let my children not get the affliction, let it come to me. जो उसे लगा है मुझे लग जाए, this kind of thing. So he said, let me take on everything in the world so that the cleanup can happen in my crucifixion, and then I can show the reality of eternal life in my resurrection. What a beautiful way to do exactly what Ramji did, what Krishna did. But in a flip. He destroyed all the evil by taking it onto himself. Sri Ramakrishna. Such depth of love, such depth of jnana. And I don't know why I took on this project of speaking about all of them, because I'm really nobody to speak about any of them. But I feel like what I've learned from him, in a way that if I can even have the courage to compare myself a little bit with him, is that like he wanted to taste every pathway to God. Every pathway. He became a Christian for some time, he became a Muslim for some time, he wanted to, अच्छा वहाँ भी भगवान मिल सकते हैं, ले ऐसे भी भगवान मिल सकते हैं, ले. That part I really loved. And his depth of love for Ma Kali, for the mothers, beyond compare. But I feel like all of us learn something from all the sages that we come across. So he gives me encouragement, because I would feel like I need some hospitalization or something. I want to taste every river that flows into the ocean called God. I want to take a dip in that. And that frustrates all of you quite a bit sometimes, I know. But it's very beautiful. Like I hear about someone who tasted God in that way. Suppose that one is a Sufi. I want to also taste God that way. Somebody said, but this one did like this. Can I also taste like that? And also I want to share this, that his life is representative of the fact that God is one. All these religious boundaries are just nonsensical. It should just be one religion called God. Or called Bhagwan, whatever you want to call. In this condition, human condition, we'll have to divide. So we bow down to all the sages, and so many thousands and thousands of sages whose photos may not be in this room, but we learn a lot from every day. May God's grace continue to bless all of you. And may we, as your children, request your intercession from time to time. Because our prayers are very feeble, we don't even know how to pray properly. So please heed our request for intercession, and please take our pleas to God, in whose presence all of you live so closely. Thank you for your gifts to us and showing us the pathway to this immense love.